The warm welcome.
IAI3 knowledge sharing session. Our speaker for today is Jyoti Malkani. Jyoti, she is an independent financial professional and she has over 10 years of experience in the finance sector. She is a financial analyst, a strategist, and a business planner. On a personal level, Jyoti has been a very good friend to me. She is associated with
Yeah.
multinational companies, banks, financial institutions. She recently gave an interview on LinkedIn, and when I was listening to that lecture, her knowledge on MSMEs, her corporate law, knowledge on corporate law, and partnership firms, the GST, as well as her topic for today, it was just unmatched. I said, wow, this lady should become the next Nirmala Sita Raman of India. Finance Minister Jyoti, I wish for you the best.
Thank you,
Jyoti is
but
also
that's not in my bucket list.
it will benefit a lot of us. And the interview on LinkedIn was watched by an audience all over the world. And Jyoti is also a trainer with the Learning Equinox, where she gives a lot of sessions on different aspects of finance all over the world, which is related to business all over the world. And she is also extremely committed to the cause of IAI3, which I find very inspiring because she has run the e-bulletin for so many years, conducted so many knowledge sharing sessions, and she is also very devoted. She's approachable, she's friendly, and she's a wonderful human being. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Jyoti Malkani. Welcome, Jyoti. Thank you for sharing this session with us.
Thank you, Anjali ma'am, and that was too much of edification of what I am. I'm just a drop in the ocean of finance, so it's not that great. But yes, I try to make ends meet. At IAI3, been associated for 3 years now because it has been a very engaging and an interesting platform. It allows trainers to open up their minds and speak up. So in that way, it is very, very encouraging, and that's what motivates me to continue being a part of this IAI3 project. All right. So with this, we will start with our session for today. And as you are all aware, we are going to be talking about how to build effective teams. Now, this is not going to be doing anything with finance, but definitely yes with business, because ultimately when you run an organization, it's important that you have great teams. I think the earlier session that was scheduled for today was by Mr. Nikhil Dani, was to be on team building. So I took it up from there and I said, let's just do it on the same topic. I told Paul sir, we will do it on the same topic, and we will continue with teams. But I look at teams as a part of an organization, as a part of the whole gamut of business. And how do we as leaders, it's the second side of the story to leadership. As leaders, it's all about followers. When you talk about leadership, it's all about followers, and these followers in an organizational structure are nothing but your teams, your team members, who are going to be actually your direct reportees or people you're going to be associated with. So as leaders, one of our very, very significant role is to nurture teams, to build teams, and to make them effective in their deliverables. So that's where the idea came to my mind, and I thought, let me continue with the same team thing, and let's just talk about how we can build effective teams for our business. So I'll just share my presentation, and we'll just have a short discussion before that. I would like to understand that, you most of you are in entrepreneurship, like are having their own setup, or even they are working in organizations at certain level in certain positions. I would like to understand from all of you, what is it that you keep in mind while recruiting somebody as your team member? When you want to have someone in your team, in your below you in your group, so what are the things that you would keep in mind while recruiting someone as your team member? You can unmute and answer, that's perfectly okay.
Actually, as in the corporate, the things are different, ma'am. As a team, we would look for mostly into the skills initially and then the team building. But when it comes to some other content development or trainees or coaches,
Yeah, why all of you have put your camera off? I would like to see, this is not going to be a presentation based discussion. So it's all about people. It's all about teams. So we can connect directly, and if need be, I'll showcase a presentation. Otherwise,
am I
leave it.
audible?
Yes, yes,
Am I
Mangai
audible,
Kumar.
ma'am?
Yes, Mangai
Yeah,
Kumar, you
yeah.
are. Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so when it comes to content development, so I'm finding out somebody who is really passionate about delivering content and all that was seems to be difficult, because in my own experience, when I wanted to conduct a training workshop on with all the therapists, I gathered few amount of therapists and we initiated a training workshop one day. But to volunteer, I wanted few people to join me, and that day I identified that people were so hesitant to involve. I didn't know that earlier. So uh, initially, I thought they were interested to join, but then later on, it was a different pattern. The whole. So understanding people's actual need when they come to us now, it's very difficult to find out.
Yeah. Anybody, any other thoughts? What is it that you keep in
Um,
mind while recruiting people?
Certainly,
Yeah,
when
see,
it
I
comes to,
sorry.
yeah, please proceed. I'll tell later.
Yeah. All right. Basically, it is value addition. Okay.
Okay.
So when you talk about a team as an aspect, it is always a two-way process. There has to be a status quo maintained. All right. If somebody, the other person is selfish, only self-centered, wants to do only either or, want to be self-centered. Yeah. Then what happens after a particular period of time? People stop responding, and that is what the equation of a leader in a team is. Okay, a leader basically probably you could be at a particular designation because you've been given a designation. However, are you competent enough to enjoy the designation is what you need to prove it to people. See, the idea of leaders and followers, like is a myth. It's like it's an age-old guru and shishya wala equation, which is no longer applicable in this current generation. All right, now people would want you to prove your competency. If you're not competent enough in terms of language skill, people skill, they will discard you like anything, right? So when I talk about being associated with somebody, I'm categorically clear as to what kind of value addition would they do for my growth, and how do I need to reciprocate. Okay, it's extremely essential, I believe, in the today's world to grow
Correct,
as
correct.
an organization, as an individual, as an entrepreneur, as whatever you want to be call it, So
So
that's
as a
what my
team member,
personal
I would
opinion.
expect what is there in it for me vis-a-vis the growth
Of
of the
course,
organization, right?
yes, because
Absolutely.
that's always that way, isn't it? Because that's how we all are. First
Right,
the
right,
self,
right, right.
then comes the others, isn't it? That's
Correct,
my
correct.
opinion.
Correct, correct. Absolutely. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Dr. Neeta.
So whenever I recruit people, actually, I never see their technical skill generally, because whatever thing I have to train them, so that training I'll be giving them. But basically, they need to be a normal human being on earth. Firstly, they should have good etiquettes, means attitude should be on balance kind of thing. That thing I always see, so that whatever kind of other people will come, they may get adjust with them, and easily I can train them, mold them as per requirement. So that is the basic quality I generally see in people whenever I recruit, that they should be manageable people. They should not be even smarter people we want, but over smart or extra attitude people. Generally, I never recruit those kind of people who is having a different kind of attitude.
So someone
So of
whom we
course,
can manage basis our skill sets.
yes, easily, even though they are not having that much qualification, that much experience, that is fine. But we could mold them, they could listen to us, learning attitude we require. So that role kind of qualities I generally see in people whenever I recruit.
So good learner, somebody who can grasp things very easily and fast, right? Right, right. Anybody, any other thoughts? What do you think while recruiting somebody? Yeah, Urmila.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, I look for all these things that other people also said, but I also look for interpersonal skills. So hard skills, of course, the job description, it has to match, because whatever I am looking for, you should have at least basic knowledge in that domain. And the interpersonal skills, how well you can get along with other people.
Hmm.
So that's important.
Interpersonal skills, yeah. Yes, Vijay Kumar.
Okay, see, when I recruit people, I'll see more than technical or anything, like find out do they really need a job, like no, if they really need a job and they can prove themselves rather than like no other skills. That's a skill which I'll give more importance. Like if there's a need, then I'll have that.
So need-based recruitments. Okay. Anybody wants to share anything else? Because today's
Jyoti,
discussion is yes, Anjali ma'am.
I thought I'd look for people who had values, maybe somebody who's willing to walk that extra mile, or
Right.
who would internalize with the policies of the organization and the culture, and
Absolutely.
become, and that's what I'd look for in a person when building a team,
Hmm.
someone with values.
Correct. So yeah, I mean, all of you have mentioned all the points, or rather, most of the points that we are going to be
No,
evolving our
it is more
discussion
than that.
around.
It's about 30, probably about.
Somebody wants to make a point? Yeah. So I mean, yes, we have talked. Yeah, Vijay Kumar, you still want to add on something else, or?
Yeah, see, the thing is, yes, recently I read an article, like now, see the
Hmm.
Taj, there was a bomb blast, like now the firing was there, like now, say they did a research, and then they found out, like now, people who came from, like now, higher institute, like now, they all ran off, like people who came from the village, they stayed back and helped the client. And after that, Taj like now really made the change in the recruitment policy of like now recruiting people from the tier 3 cities. So I try to like now emphasis that like now people who have values as said by someone and who has a need for a job. Those people add more value to the business than someone which is coming to upskill their opportunity to earn money.
Correct. So it's all about understanding the need and how committed they are to the organization. So yes, I mean today's discussion obviously will evolve around all of what all of you have mentioned. And yes, in today's times we look at a lot more. And as a leader, what are the things we as leaders who are employing people or who are taking people in our group, what are the things we need to keep in mind while building our teams? To make it effective, to give it the desired results as the organization wants us to deliver, what are those things that we need to do, or what are those steps we need to follow, or what are those tips that we can have to make sure that all of this is fulfilled, what all of you mentioned, have the right kind of people, somebody with a lot of great interpersonal skills, person who's able to understand, a good learner, and all of that, everything that you all mentioned. We look at how we can do that. So first and foremost, yes, it's all about understanding people. Now when I say understanding people, it's important that you need to understand how to handle multiple people, because each individual is different, nobody is going to be the same, everybody is going to have different qualities, different traits, different ideas. We need to bring them all to one focused direction, the mission of our organization, the goal of our organization. So it's all about getting those multiple people think alike. Now that itself is a humongous task, because everybody is not going to listen to you on from day one or even later on. So how do you do that? That can be done by understanding people, by understanding or studying their SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, not what is mentioned on their CV. Over a period of every recruitment cycle is generally 3 months to 6 months post confirmation, so we need to give it time. We need to make sure that in those 3 6 months we understand the actual SWOT of that individual, and make sure that you assign roles and responsibility basis those SWOTs, and not what I want him or her to do. So if let's say somebody on a CV is very brilliant, very good, but does lack communication skills grossly, that person might be a very good worker, that person might be very good at his job, but because of his lack of communication there would be challenges in him putting across his message. So we know his strength, we know his weakness. In such a case, what can you do? You need to understand that aspect and give him that kind of a role which would require more of the work and less of communication, and then work on building up the communication bit and groom him up to a level where you can, enhance his skills. So understanding people in that way and defining their roles and responsibilities basis their SWOT. And of course, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen on day one or day two. You will also take 2 to 3 months to understand what these people are doing in the organization, how besides your HR policies, besides having a recruitment standard, still you will see people moving as hodgepodge people across, because they are all with different skill sets, different soft skills, and different ideas in mind. So we need to align all of that, and that will happen in a span of 3 months. So that's where I say understanding people means understanding their SWOT, see what best suit them, and give them those kind of roles and responsibilities in organizations. So when you're able to delegate roles and responsibilities in an organization by understanding the SWOT, in that way you are actually doing the right kind of understanding people. When I say understanding people, this is what I mean. Then
Uh,
yes,
sorry, I'm really
yes,
sorry. I'll forget otherwise. May I ask you a question?
yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry to
Rizwana.
interrupt. Okay. You spoke about understanding doing a SWOT analysis and then delegating the roles and responsibilities. Unfortunately, it is practically not possible, Jyoti, because what happens is every job description when you're recruiting somebody, it comes with a KRA, which is already a predefined KRA. When a business goal or a business objective is defined, they have certain requirement, manpower resources which have been designed, and there are certain KRAs defined for each and every role. All
Correct,
right.
correct.
So whenever a person is recruited, what happens is there is always a comparison between what jobs that they have done in their previous organizations in the past experience vis-a-vis what they can deliver in the current requirement. Do they
Correct, correct.
actually fit into that bill, right? So
Yes,
what
yes.
happens once the person becomes a part of the organization, part of the team, you cannot change their roles and responsibilities. Okay, because that would create a lot of disbalance in the organization dynamism. Can't do that. But yes,
No, I am
because
not.
if they are
I'm
supposed
not saying when the HR has recruited a certain person in your team member by virtue of the designation or the role that has been assigned. That's perfectly all right, because there has been certain checks and balances pre-interview which has taken care of all of that, and I appreciate that. So that actually filters out the first level. Now within a team, let's say I am a leader and I have
hmm,
recruited 5 people in my team. All 5 people are
hmm,
going to be different, of course, because they
hmm,
fit the role, because they fit the kind of job that is given to them, and all that has been filtered by HR. The induction training program has taken care of the alignment with the organization, and all of that is
okay,
perfectly all right. Now they are with me,
okay,
but those
okay,
5 people will be like the 5 fingers. Not all will be equal. Somebody will be
correct,
different. So over this is what I'm
absolutely,
saying. Understand people, as in if I want to delegate more to somebody, if I want to see and nurture somebody else as a leader, if I need to mentor somebody to bring him up to the leadership skill, I need to
okay,
understand people. This is where I was coming
right,
from.
okay. So when you talk about doing a SWOT analysis, are you referring to doing a SWOT analysis depending upon what kind of equations do they share with you, or is it going to be a scientific approach?
Scientific approach,
And
because
what
again
kind of
person,
assessment
if you
tools
if you
would
bring
be
about
up for? Yeah,
if you bring about
yes,
personal perspective to it, it will have its own biases. So let's eliminate all of
okay,
that and let's focus on
okay,
having a scientific approach. It could be by
okay,
calling certain other group leaders,
okay,
whom they have been interacted, like cross departmental engagement when they have seen. So I can call up those
okay.
leaders along with me and do a SWOT analysis and come to a
So when you
conclusion,
talk
or
about,
I can
sorry,
have certain tools, certain pre-assessments
mhm,
tools are there in place.
so,
I can use them also and do.
okay.
it's
So
uh,
what
it's a
kind of tools
choice.
do you recommend? So what kind of tools do you recommend?
Maybe a 360 feedback is a great option.
360 degrees feedback mechanism only comes into place when the PMSing is being done. You cannot do it in the first quarter when during the probation period. You cannot do a 360-degree feedback mechanism because HR policies do not allow that during the probationary
No,
period,
no, I'm not asking for a
right?
full-fledged 360 feedback. I'm saying pick
So
up questions from there and design your own questionnaire and do it as an internal organization policy.
but how does it become scientifically proven? Because when you talk about a scientific tool,
sorry, I'm little taking up small time because I just want to understand this. When you talk about a scientific tool to be utilized and make use of, you cannot randomly take those questions from a different set of parameters for which the entire approach has been designed and make it your own. Because there has to be some sort of sampling, some sort of analysis, some sort of theoretical documentation to be done to say that this is a scientifically proven methodology. Because any
Correct,
kind of
correct.
profiling, any kind of testing that has been done. So my little understanding is how do we do the SWOT analysis? I mean, should it not be a part of the interview process itself? Because if
No,
you have a
it will be a
recommendation,
part of the interview process itself. I'm not denying that. That's already done. Now he or she has been appointed with me in my team, and I'm going to revisit their SWOT. When I'm talking about a scientific approach, I'm not saying to have a full-fledged 360-degree feedback in the span of 3 months. I can have a certain set of a questionnaire in that format and take an association with the other team, other group members, and have
is
a
it a
cross
first?
this.
No,
Let me
no, sorry,
complete, please, Rizwana. Then we
sorry,
can add on to
sorry,
that.
go ahead,
That
go
will
ahead,
help
go ahead.
me get some sort of a balanced understanding about my team members besides what I hold.
Okay, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
my
So that
question
I'm
is the
saying.
first 90 days of an as per HR, first 90 days of an individual are considered to be the learning curve. Because in the first 90 days, a person is trying to understand what the organization is all about, how do people function, what is the culture, how do I fit it into this entire gambit of business? And that's what an individual is always evaluating and reevaluating. Uh, so,
Absolutely.
so my question is, when you talk about taking a feedback from another group leader, with whom I may not be working directly, would that not a little be, what do you say, shadowed feedback? Because for me to prove if I am a part of your team, I need at least first 3 months would be a part of my learning curve. After 90 days is what I'll start delivering. That is where
Absolutely.
my core strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, everything will be actually displayed and discovered by person who's observing me. I mean, is this 90 days period not a very short-lived period for a person to be analyzed?
No, because I'll be taking feedback only with the kind of interaction that has happened with other team members. So you're not going to have another feedback with somebody where this person has not even engaged with. So generally, if I'm engaging with three departments in my organization, I will seek feedback with only those 2 or 3 departments where this person has interacted. I'm not looking at an overall, just to give some gist so that my biases don't
Okay.
creep in as a leader to make this kind
Okay.
of a decision. Just for that
But
purpose.
is 90 days a sufficient period to actually arrive at a conclusion, or do you think we need to give a little bit more
I'm
time
not
period for
arriving
the
at a
individual?
conclusion, Rizwana. I'm
Not
just
to ask
trying
you,
to
I
move
want
towards
to
making an effective team. So this will give me a
right.
one level understanding about the team. Subsequently, this
Okay.
can happen after another 3 months and another 3 months. And that's how we will also look at the growth chart of that particular employee to understand
Oh,
how
so
he or she
every
has been
quarter
performing.
you have. Oh,
Yeah, it
okay,
could be
okay.
every quarter, it could be every half yearly, depending on your organization structure.
Okay.
So basis
And
that,
how would you
it'll only
evaluate
help me
them?
understand, okay, fine, today in the first 3 months this person has done very well on the job, but his communication was lacking. In the next 3 months he's improvised on the communication, so I know the area where I have to nurture this candidate.
Okay.
That way, this is not a performance appraisal benchmarking that is being done right now. I'm talking about how I can make my own team effective.
But at the end of the day, don't you think anything that you do with your team, at the end of the day, is that it is associated with the business goals to be achieved at the end of the year?
Yes, it is. That's why, because to make my
Okay.
business goals effective, I need to make sure that my team is moving in the right direction. And to understand this, I have to
Right.
ongoingly do a SWOT. No?
Right. Right.
That's what I was
Right. Go ahead.
referring to.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
I
Thank
think
you.
we've got just 5-6 minutes, and we'll continue with this.
No
If
worries. We'll
this
come
logs
back.
out,
We'll
we log
come
in
back.
the same link, so there is
Yeah.
nothing different. So yeah, I mean, while we were talking about effective employees and making them or doing their SWOT, at the same time, the next point is all about us. It's about our leadership skills. It's about learning leadership as we grow with our team. It's about being aware about what we hold also as leaders. So it's all about understanding how you're engaging with your team members to deliver best results. As a leader, we must ensure that everyone is doing the right kind of job. I cannot be a dictator and say just because there is a certain role that is assigned to you, you are supposed to do it. I need to work on and nurture those skills. As you're aware, most of you are aware that leadership comes with two major responsibilities: nurturing and mentoring. So that's one skill that we need to enhance in ourselves also. And you will appreciate the fact that when we are in the process of nurturing and mentoring our teams, we evolve much better leaders, and when this happens, obviously we will get effective teams to work with us. So that would be looking at the skills that we have as leaders also, so we can have a backtrack assessment for ourselves also. So it's not only going to be, you know, telling the employee that you're not right or you've not done the right thing. It's about how much have I put in to bring up that person up the curve, because HR has assigned him or her a certain role which he should do to his best. So if I'm not a good leader, I'm not able to bring about that effectiveness in that person. So I need to ongoingly evolve, do that kind of understanding with people, do that SWOT, nurture them, and also in the ongoing process, improvise on my own leadership skills. So that's where I was coming from in the SWOT weight and things like that. The next, what most of you already mentioned, is aligning with organizations' goals. So don't look at teams only for targets. We need to be problem solvers for our team members. We need to understand that we need to look at things from their shoes as well. What is it that's bringing them down? Why they are not able to perform? Is it a certain time frame in their home which is not helping them come out of that curve, or is it they need our help? What is the situation that they are not capable of giving the best performance in this role? So we need to make sure and relate to our team members. Here, empathy plays a very significant role. Interpersonal skills play a very significant role, because you need to communicate across, you need to understand those people, and you need to also make sure that you're able to relate to them in times of need. When they need them, you should be able to solve their problem, not only focus on my organization goals being a priority. Again, this is one more aspect of great leadership. So that again is something that we as leaders needs to do to make effective teams. I think we are down with only 3 more minutes. So can we anybody has any questions so far? We talked about how we need to learn and develop people. We talked about what we as leaders need to do in shoes of a leader, and bring in about a lot of empathy, and not only focus with teams for targets, but also be a problem solver for them. Okay, so we need to be a problem solver and look at things from their perspective as well. Anybody has any questions so far? Because we've got only 3 minutes. I don't want to start the next point, because then it will take time. Okay, so another significant aspect is about making roles and responsibilities clear. Besides the HR policies, besides your offer letter, whatever is written on the offer letter stating that this is what you're supposed to do in your job, there is something called as what you're actually doing on the job, how you're interacting with people. Besides your role, besides your qualification, which brings you to that desk, there are a lot more things that are there in a person in terms of personality traits that we need to nurture. So we need to assign roles and responsibilities in that fashion, and it should be very, very clearly defined. Clearly defined as in, this person needs to do that. That's where we have a structure in place, where we have meetings and huddles and interactions with your team members on a daily basis, or on a alternate days, for fortnightly basis, or whatever basis your leader is interacting with you, because this brings in the focus to the achievement of your goals. So whatever you're doing, those daily huddles or daily meetings in teams, is basically making sure that the roles and responsibilities are correctly assigned, they are clearly defined. Not two people are struggling over the same job and it ultimately doesn't get done. So we need to make that very clear to the team while we are giving our assignments or engagements, during our meetings, team meetings. make them very, very productive and effective in the manner that each one knows what is expected out of them. Have turnaround times, have timelines, have assigned roles and responsibility checklist, which will help them understand, okay, fine, this is what I'm supposed to deliver within this time frame, and this will help them achieve larger goals, and this will make them more effective with you. So make these roles and responsibilities really clear in black and white, or in a discussion. If you're having a discussion, put it there, then put them back as minutes in a mail, and so that it's on action, it's on on ongoing manner. So each and every one knows what is expected out of them and what they're supposed to deliver. So that was about making roles and responsibilities clear. So now we have just a minute more. Can we just, if this session gets disconnected, we can log in back with the, with the same link. Okay. Now, while we are having these roles and responsibilities, and while we are doing our, yeah, it's recording now. Okay. Yeah. So there's something in the chat box also. 1 minute. Okay. Yes, absolutely right and right time. Virtual team. Can you suggest some team building activities virtually? Well, if you're doing if you're doing a virtual team building activity session, if you're doing it on MS Teams, or if you're doing on a paid Zoom option, you have an option of breakout rooms where you can do group activities. But again, in breakout rooms, as a facilitator, you need to move in and out each time of those rooms, like you do in a session where you move out in and out in different groups. So you need to do that. The activities, basically what you can do is you can give case studies. You can see how things they apply, what thought process goes. Like, I'll give you an example of what I do in a team building activity. It's like, I take some pictures, just pictures randomly from the internet. You can just download and you can send it across to them, and you can ask them, like, what do you feel, what are your emotions attached with this picture. And it's amazing that even if you're dealing with 50 people, 50 people are going to come out with different thoughts on the same picture. So that helps us in understanding what is running in their mind. Somebody might find it very depressive and give you a very depressing answer. Somebody might find it a very beautiful thing. Somebody might find the same picture to be very, very boring. Somebody might find the same picture and give you need to interpret those thoughts. You need to see from the way they're communicating and what they're telling us is what's going to arrive at conclusions as to what they feel about their pictures. When you're talking about group activities, I mentioned about the breakout room. So these are the few things that you can do online, because obviously when the engagement is less, I do understand that the engagement becomes a little less because that personal touch is lacking in a virtual mode. But this is what we can do in terms of uh, virtual mode of engagement. But more so than a team building activity, or a team building session, I am more an advocate of a fact that the leader with whom, or the manager with whom they are interacting on a day-to-day basis, makes the humongous amount of difference in the kind of way the team performs. And that's where team effectiveness is important. It's like, you go out for a vacation for 2 days and you come back and you feel good. That's fine. That's what a team building activity or a team building session might do. But when you're going back to your job, how empathetic your leader is, how good he's able to understand you, how much of a learner have you evolved, what is your daily interaction, has it changed after that session, are you implementing that in your routine, is what makes teams effective. And that is the key role of a leader. Basically what we are doing is more than effective teams, it's more about your discharge of leadership skills, which makes your teams more effective. I hope, Urmila, that answers your question. Not able to mute.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
There's some noise at the background. Okay.
That Reshma's
Yeah, I muted it. Yeah, so can we move now further to the next point, or we wait for few people yet to join in? But okay, fine, we cannot keep waiting. So Yeah, we were talking before in the earlier session is about making roles and responsibilities very clear, making it clear that what is expected out of them so that they know at each stage how they are going to contribute to the bigger picture. So by them performing on that task, what is their contribution to you, to your team, and to the bigger picture of the organization? How many of us are capable of giving that bigger picture to the to our team members? And that is important. That brings them that, that gives them that, okay, fine, okay, I am also a part of this entire organization. That motivates them, that brings in a lot of enthusiasm in the way they will perform their task. The another important aspect is about active feedback. So feedback has to be not only one time, but a while ago we were talking, I mean, Rizwana mentioned about the SWOT analysis and the learning curve and all. Yes, when I meant to say that is, you're actually, SWOT analysis is not a piece of paper which is going to go in your file for performance appraisal. That's not what I mean by SWOT. A SWOT is when you're actually doing it on the shop floor level. Like for business SWOT, when you see an opportunity, you go ahead and capitalize it. You don't make papers and you file it in yourself. You're going to take action on that opportunity. If you see a threat, you're going to protect yourself from the threat, right? If there's a pandemic, you know that your business is not going to run, you're going to take corrective measures to make sure that you still reach your bottom line, or you make sure that you're not at a loss and you're doing some way or some other workaround that you are ready post pandemic to break even. So those things are important even in case of doing a SWOT for your team. It's not about performance appraisal or the larger picture in organizations as we see today. It's about us as individuals, how we are capable of seeing through the SWOT of our own team members. You might have 5 people or 10 people in your team. How well do you know them? How much feedback have you given to them? You cannot at the end of 1 year say that you did not perform on this well. Why did you not tell me earlier? Like, I've always, during my corporate career, I've challenged my bosses to ask them that, why have you not told this to me earlier if I needed an improvement? And yes, that has brought change. That has brought about a lot of change. I was not an outspoken person at all, not at all. A very camera shy person and a very non-talkative person. But then you learn. And when you learn is when you get the right kind of managers. And that's why it said that people don't leave organizations, they leave managers. They don't leave organizations. All organizations are the best. Okay, it's all about your monetary goal, where you want and you want to stick to the job. Okay, it's all about that because you know your job. But what makes you stick is the people that you work with. And that comes with very, very active and a constant feedback. So communication, again, is the most important skill of a leader. You should be capable of communicating the right thing to the employee in the right fashion. You cannot go out and tell negative to somebody. You need to give that separately. You need to appreciate in a crowd. All of these are very small things which gets unnoticed in our day-to-day lives. So it's always, as a leader, you should appreciate the fact of having a two-way communication and understanding that the other person is at the end of the day listening to you. If not him or her, the people around are listening. So make that clear. Make it clear that you're giving active feedback, constant feedback to the right person at the right time. It's whether good or bad. If it's good, acknowledge it in front of a crowd. If it's bad, call that person separately and give a negative feedback if you want to address some issue or anything like that. And again, do it with a lot of empathy, because that's where you are actually building that bond. You are building that connect of getting a follower with you, because people are not there to listen to you every single time. They're going to be changing their thoughts. They're going to be changing your mindset about you also. How much of you have you cultivated to make sure that you'll have a lasting impact on your employees? So create that impact. And it's going to take time. They're not going to listen to you the first time, but make sure you're doing that on a regular and a consistent manner and giving them active feedback so they evolve and give better results. So that, see, a leader is only known by his team. If you have a certain team which is effective, it's your credit. So make sure that that's a very important role of a leader, to give active feedback and communicate the right thing in the right manner. Appreciation is important. Always appreciate and encourage your team members. If efforts are not recognized, then it will demotivate the team members and they will not put in their extra bit to achieve when you are in times of need. It is so important. Give them the kind of recognition they need, appreciate them for the small things that they have done, or even, gone out of the way and done for you or for your entire team. Acknowledge that, and acknowledge that in front of a larger audience. This appreciation motivates them a long way. This also is one aspect of a leader. And have a set reward and recognition program. Even if your HR policies doesn't have it in a small way for your own team, for your own group of people in the organization. A simple appreciation, a tap on the back can do magic. So make sure that you do that and don't miss on that to create effective teams. Celebrate business goals and analyze failures. It's very important that you make, you're very clear that this is what my business goal is. This is what I'm supposed to achieve. Everyone has been given KPIs and KRIs, what you're supposed to do in organization. But when there is an achievement, give the credit to your entire team, appreciate it, celebrate it. And when you feel that something is not right, analyze it, because they've been just doing what you've told them to do. Okay, it cannot be their fault. There could be a mixed blend of emotions amongst all of the people. Some people might have contributed, some people might have not contributed to that failure. But you are not, as a leader, you cannot blame them for the failures. You need to make sure that the team bonding stays in, and you analyze the defects and make corrective action. So it's that important. So it's not only that you celebrate success, but you are also going to be analyzing your failures very, very clearly. And the last 2 points, which are the most important in my view, one is about building a very, very healthy work environment. Here I'm not referring to HR policies that is abided by the company. The employees are supposed to follow. When you say a healthy environment, you're talking about good team culture. You're talking about people talking to each other with freedom, people appreciating and acknowledging things. And that is going to come only when you as a leader are going to do that. People will only follow you because they'll see you. If you are going to talk negative about one person in front of the other, they will also do the same. So avoid doing that. Make sure that you have set crisp and transparent policies in place within your team, that if it's a negative thing, it has not to be done and it's punishable. You can do a small carrot and stick approach in your own way within your team. You need not go to HR and have a very strict HR policy for that. You need not do that. This is not where I'm coming from. It's all about people skills. It's all about interpersonal skills that I'm talking. But have a carrot and stick approach to things which are negative. Give people a carrot when they are doing the right thing, and have a stick approach when you are handling something negative. So that makes the entire culture very healthy and very, very interesting to work with. So people love to work with organizations which are more transparent, which are more crisp, and I mean rather managers who are more transparent and who are more clear in their communication. And last but not the least, integrity tops the chart, but I put it last because integrity is something that you're going to be continuously doing even when nobody is watching you. That's what integrity. It's not about honesty. It's not about HR policies. They all will be there. But doing the right thing even when nobody is watching you is what integrity talks about. How are you going to make sure that your employees are doing the right thing because they are looking up to you? If you have built in a culture where you say people are not going to be doing a certain thing if it's not called for, they should not be doing it. And this comes with a lot of value principles. If you are capable of following the right kind of value principles as a leader, your team members will look up to it. So not everybody is going to be listening to your value principles and start becoming a follower for you, but definitely they are going to at some point of time realize the fact that you have to build in a culture. You have to, that you're not going to be changing on to your ethical principles, but continuing with your ethical principles if you want to have real effective teams. And all of this cannot be against the organizational principles. It has to be in line with the organizational principles, because ultimately your team is a part of you. They showcase your business, your work. So if you are showcasing integrity in the way you perform, your team will also do the suit. Otherwise it may not be followed. So a combination of all of this is what we need to do. A lot focuses on interpersonal skills. is what makes teams very, very effective, and how you build effective teams. It's another part of leadership, I say. I would not say it's a team building process as called in organizations कि आप team building activity के लिए आ जाओ, सब लोग मिलते हैं and then they do some activity. I don't look at team building activities as such. It's an ongoing culture that you have to develop within teams, and it's a part of your leadership role. As a leader, what are you going to do? How are you going to perform? Because everybody around you is going to follow you. They will listen to you, because if you are a great leader, they will stick with you. If they don't find you a great leader, they are not going to be sticking with you. So in this way, you can have effective teams around. So any questions so far? I think we are bang on time. It's 6:30. Any questions? Anyone? Anyone has a different view? Anybody feels that this does not resonate with the aspect of effective team building? Thank you, Megha.
It was a very nice session, Jyoti.
Thank you. Thank
Really
you.
very nice. In fact, when you were saying about leadership, leading from the front, it was something that came to mind, when there was this battlefield of the Mahabharata, and Arjun was refusing to fight. So Krishna was trying to tell him that he's a warrior and he has to fight. So ultimately he said that, okay, I'll give you my own example. And he was a leader. He was Lord of the three worlds, the earth, the hell, and the heaven. And he told Arjun that in spite of everything, in spite of being an emperor, I still work because I want to lead by example. So it was very relevant what you spoke about leaders taking bang on responsibility for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's where people look up to you. Otherwise, if you're going to be, you need to walk the talk for you people to listen, to abide by what you say. Otherwise, you cannot tell people to be honest and you lack on integrity.
Yes, that's right.
It's as simple as that.
Oh yes, I know. And in fact, that shlok from the Bhagavad Gita, it is so beautiful. That's what Krishna says. But if you wish, that I'll share it now. Otherwise,
Yeah,
if we don't
sure.
have
Please
time.
go ahead. We have time today. So
Yeah, so that's what Krishna told him, that I'm a leader, I'm an emperor, but still I work because I want to lead by example. So he says that na me parthasti vayam trishu lokeshu kinchan nanavakta mavakta vayam varta eva cha karmani. So it actually means that what you have been assigned to do, you need to do it. So I thought that your talk is very nice, Jyoti. It was beautiful.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
When people start following you, that means you are a leader.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to prove your own qualities that people
Right.
notice you. People start following you, and they accept you, and they appreciate in both privately as well as publicly. That means you are following some principle as a leader.
Right.
Yes. Right.
And that
The role of
consistency
a
has to
leader,
be there. Yeah.
the role of leader is only to transform others, like Lord Krishna did.
Right.
So when you start transforming people, then people start following you, and seeing that others also follow you. That is how you
Right.
leader.
So that is all about effective teams. I mean, when people
It's all
listen
about
to
leadership.
what you are, your team is effective automatically.
Yeah. We have another 5 minutes. Jyoti, you have finished your session. I have to
Yeah,
give
I
vote
am
of
done.
thanks.
I mean, I had a presentation, but I thought that, an informal dialogue would be a lot more engaging and interesting.
Yeah, surely,
So that's where I kept
because
it
this
without a
interactive
presentation.
session is more meaningful than keep showing the slides and people keep sleeping, or they just show the what do you call, they close the camera and go away, and then they just join when we are about to close. Interactive session is good, and in fact everybody should put on their camera, and then we should see them, their what do you call, body language, as Anjali taught us. See the body language, what is the
Yeah.
response, And now,
Yes, that's right.
So as trainers,
That's
we
right.
have this habit of telling all participants on the camera, please come online. I want to see you, and not just names. That applies to every
Absolutely.
session to us also.
Yes. Oh, yes.
yeah. In fact, keep telling them don't close your camera. You can mute yourself, but don't close the camera.
Hmm.
That's right.
So can I get into my job now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Thank you, Jyoti. Very wonderful session on team building. I'm thankful
Thank you.
that you have taken the place of Nikhil Dani. He had some assignment. Because of that, he has to postpone. So you came to rescue the our IA3 function of knowledge sharing session. I mean, we always need there has to be some people in our team who can always fill up the gap. Whenever there is nobody to have a session, they would say yes. Because as a trainer, to conduct a session to write an article, it takes hardly 1 hour to prepare the session, or to write an article, it takes 1 hour. So we should have all got some people who are always act as a standby. So if you have that, then we have no problem of conducting this knowledge sharing. Fortunately, Jyoti, you remember in the beginning we had a query whether we should have once in a month, whether we will have participants. Now I think we almost conducted about 40
Yeah,
knowledge
last
sharing
month
sessions.
onwards, we've been conducting it almost every week.
Yes.
So somewhere in June we started it. Till now, except 1 or 2 weeks or some Diwali time, we had closed down. We had closed down. It is going on very smooth, and I think so far we have made a new knowledge sharing session group. There are about 24 people are there. 1 or 2 are backed out, but otherwise we have got around 24 people who have conducted knowledge sharing session. So this is going very smooth. So we invite everybody to come, and now I think the earlier people can conduct next group, because the remaining people doesn't seem to be interested in conducting knowledge sharing session. So these people who are in the group can have the second session, third session, all done. So the next session on 23rd is by Reshma. I think she was there in the audience today.
She's here. I mean,
She
is still there. Right?
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw her. She is still there. Only thing, she is muted and camera is off. She is conducting a topic called work-life balance in tech world. Yeah, Reshma is there. Reshma, if you are there, you can.
Yeah, I'll be there. But like I find like the topic is changed to education systems, no?
That is no problem. That is left to you, because
That
it
you
is
can,
your
yeah.
comfort.
It's your comfort.
Your own comfort level.
Okay,
So
okay, sir.
if you are there, you can invite the audience for your session next Tuesday.
Okay, okay.
You can personally invite all the participants, because this will be recorded and it will be going on social media.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I think our e-journal is getting ready, isn't it, Jyoti?
Yeah, but slightly delayed. I'll release it by this
Doesn't
weekend.
matter. Now, I just want to tell the members, March knowledge sharing session slot is all full, only on 30th, that is booked. In April, we are booked for 6th, 13th and 20th. So the only slot available for knowledge sharing session is 27th April. So if anyone want to conduct knowledge sharing session on 27th April, you are free to inform, so that we will book your slot. I think May it is too early to invite people. Jyoti, every week I get benefit of this. I have not missed not even one single knowledge sharing session. I attended all the sessions.
Wow. Fantastic.
And everything I learn, actually I am a lifetime student. I'm a lifetime student. Every time I attend, I update my recording in my subconscious. So that transform my own mindset. It updates my mindset. So it's a benefit. people don't understand. You give this free session and it is useful for them, but
Yeah.
I don't know. They are busy. They seems to be busy. It's all every Tuesday, just 40 minutes or 80 minutes. They will be able to update it. Plus, they are also not coming forward to conduct knowledge sharing session, because knowledge sharing session is that.
That reminds me to the point which Anjali ma'am just mentioned. She asked me about the virtual engagement. I said,
Yeah.
we know each other since now more than a year, and I have actually never in person met Anjali ma'am. Okay.
Yes, really, Jyoti.
So this is the advantage of all virtual sessions.
Of course, and we become good friends. We're such good friends. So virtual, but I'm sure we'll meet soon.
Yeah, sure. We will.
Definitely.
Actually, I'll tell you, the virtual session, virtual contacts is much more meaningful. Now, in social media,
Yes.
I am very popular in social media. I've got about 1 million contacts, about 13,300 people in LinkedIn, around 5,000 friends in Facebook. In Facebook itself, there are 250 to 300 groups are there. When they make group, first they add me and then send me, sir, we have added you. So I don't say no. And like many people, I don't. There are many people who add me in WhatsApp group, they Facebook group, Facebook groups. So I'm there. I remain. I'm eager to say what they are saying, what they are doing, and who is conducting what session. And I join. There are so many sessions are there, And I'll tell you, every birthday I get around 700 birthday wishes on my on birthday.
The
That
power of
shows,
virtual media.
that shows the power of
Very
virtual
nice.
media. And there are many people who like to, they would like to chat with me. I said no chatting, because I'm a very busy person. I got morning till evening. I got so many sessions, so many schedules, so many online sessions are there. So plus I got some job, like now ICTA. Earlier I was associate director. Now they have nominated me as chief digital media. So I have to bring them from analog to a digital platform. So much of work is there. So there is no time for chatting. I said whenever you got query, you send me the message. I'll send you the reply. That's all. There is no time for chatting. So virtual
Also,
is.
also, can I request you that all your followers on FB and on LinkedIn, why don't you encourage them to follow our IAI3 page?
I
Because
do
you
that.
see,
No, I post my what you call our sessions in that group. But Anjali, I'll tell you one thing.
yes.
In India, in India, there are only 8% graduates. So like that, in virtual platform, only 10% people see what you are posting. And in that 10%, in that 10% people who see, out of that only 10% people respond to you. That means 1%
Respond,
is all.
yes.
So the 1%.
Yes,
But
I know.
doesn't matter. We do our job. It is up to them whether they want to, attend the session, or they want to, watch my videos. So it is up to them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it is up to them whether they want to be a lifetime student, keep learning. But apparently nobody want to learn.
No, what she's saying is that as they make you join groups, you make them join II3 group.
Yes.
No, I'll tell them. In fact,
FB
when I interact with anyone,
Huh.
first thing I ask, would you like to be a member of IAI group? That's how I heard that many people. You may be knowing that. I don't mention it. So when they speak, when they speak, I ask them whether you want to become an IAI member, you want to conduct knowledge sharing session, you write article. So they say yes. I added so many members and so many have conducted knowledge sharing session. So many article, I think they are list this one. So this show will go on. So that is our strategy.
Yeah, as it is, we have quite a lot of members. The outreach is quite a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely. Also, are you giving your vote of thanks?
Yeah, I almost finished it. So, Jyoti, thank you for conducting this session.
Thank you all
I
for
also
patient
I
listening.
also thank participants. We had almost 13, 14 participants, but now
Thank you
how
so
many are
much.
there? Now only six of us are remaining.
Six of
So
us
I
are.
thank all the participants. So as I mentioned, e-journal is getting ready. Please contribute regularly the article. And as I said, 27th April slot is available for knowledge sharing session. So I once again thank all the participants and Jyoti for this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for a patient
Thank you.
listening. It was nice to have all of you here on
Okay.
this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was an amazing session, Jyoti. Wonderful. Very beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paul sir,
Bye-bye.
also.
Hmm.
Jyoti, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Actually, one thing we should follow that we have to tell the trainers in our